Mercedes Mone has been the subject of controversy since leaving the WWE for AEW. Hello all and welcome to Alyx's World, a safe space for wrestling fans like you. I am your host Alyx, just Alyx. I have been a fan of Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Mone, since NXT. Since she debuted in the WWE, quickly rose up in the ranks as the boss and had, in my opinion, one of the greatest female wrestling matches with Bayley. Everyone knows what match I'm talking about. NXT Brooklyn 2015. A match so good, it has literally influenced hundreds to thousands of females to become professional wrestlers. Hell, it's most likely influenced males to become professional wrestlers. I put her up there with the Trish Stratus's, with the Mickie Jameses, the Litas, the Charlotte Flairs, the Becky Lynches. She is someone that should be in the conversation for greatest female wrestler of all time. And she's earned that. She's earned it through hard work, through sheer passion, through being a student of the game, studying the greats, taking elements from those greats in terms of in-ring ability, in terms of character, in terms of making people care. She truly loves the sport of professional wrestling. It's crazy to me that when she was coming up, when she was just regular old Sasha Banks from Boston, rising up in the ranks, it seemed to me, might not be the case 100% of the time, but it seemed to me everyone loved her. Everyone loved Sasha Banks when she was coming up. Because when you're coming up and you're working hard to be successful, everyone loves you because everyone relates to you. Until you become successful. Then all of a sudden, the haters come out. How dare you become successful? I'm not successful, so you're not allowed to be successful. That is the case everywhere. Any kind of avenue of entertainment, acting, sports. Anytime someone starts off as just a nobody, as a guy next door or a girl next door, oh, I'm behind you. You are the best. You are the shit. And the moment they become the shit, the moment they become the best, all of a sudden, they feel betrayed. How dare you? How dare you hit a level of success that I haven't experienced? You are no longer someone I support. I am going to go support this other person coming up. And I think we're now seeing that happen with Mercedes Mone. But the thing is, the way it's happening to Mercedes, it's getting to a point where it's getting scary. Not surprising, but it is kind of scary. And I want to show you some of these comments. I'm going to go to my Facebook page just to kind of fan the flames a little bit. I put out a post that I knew was going to draw out the haters, was going to bring in the critics, bring in people that aren't big fans of hers, just so I can get a sense of how people feel about her as a performer, as a TV character, and even as a real life person. You will not believe the kind of comments I've seen. I think some of you will, but let's go to my Facebook page. And here's the post right here. The online hate for Mercedes Mone is reaching unnecessary levels of weirdness. Everything she's getting in AEW is more than deserved, and the women's division is better for it. Feel free to have your opinions about her television character, but some of you are getting way too personal with your attacks. Tony Khan is the one who gave her a high-paying contract and creative control. So to be mad at her for saying yes is downright weird. Let's not forget that this is someone who main evented WrestleMania. The first ever black female main event with Bianca Belair. Multiple time women's champion. And also, she didn't really end her relationship with the WWE on good terms. Remember, she walked out. We all know the story. Naomi and Sasha walked out on WWE after being disrespected. As the women's tag team champs, she got legal involved to help her get out of her contract, and she bet on herself. She decided to go out in the world and explore other avenues of entertainment. She joined the cast of Star Wars Mandalorian. She got into acting a little bit. She started making her own music. She started her own podcast, got her newsletter, opened up numerous business ventures that includes a clothing line and all sorts of things. She decided to go all in, no pun intended, on herself. And she also joined New Japan Pro Wrestling, where, in my opinion, she's had excellent matches all the way through, including her match against Kairi Hojo, Kairi Sane, before, of course, Kairi came back to the WWE. It's been quite a privilege to see her transform from Sasha Banks to Mercedes. But, as I said before, everyone loves you when you're coming up. But when you're successful, people can't relate to that, and all of a sudden, people hate you. But I think this hate is more than that. There's something else to this hate that's making people really despise this woman. Like, they won't even give her credit for doing the things she's good at anymore. And you'll see it in the comments, but when we're getting to the point where you can't give her one compliment, say one good thing about her, your hate for her has gotten out of hand. And to be fair, look, I am very much aware of how toxic the wrestling community can be. That being said, the level of hate this woman gets is absolutely ridiculous. So let's take a look at some of these comments here. I'm going to go from the newest to the oldest, and we're just going to read it. Look at this. All of her matches have been terrible since debuting in AEW. The Stephanie Vaquer match was good, but only because Vaquer carried and was clearly a better wrestler than her. I've never gotten the hype for Mercedes. Even in WWE, I thought she sucked. See, comments like this just makes me think, would you be saying this if she stayed? For you to say all of her matches, I disagree with that. I thought her match with Willow was great. Her match with Stephanie Vaquer, like you said yourself, was good. It takes two to tangle. We can argue about Britt Baker. That one was not as good as I wanted it to be, but it wasn't a terrible match. Her match with Hikaru Shida on Dynamite was a great match. To say all of her matches have been terrible, that's not right, man. See, here we go. People hate because how dare she not go back to WWE? That explains it. I think she is a victim of tribalism. There are fans that can't understand why anyone would dare leave their WWE, their team. And sometimes it's cool to have that tribalism, but it should be fun. We should push each other to be our best. That's the real purpose of competition. This just feels like you're mad at her for betting on herself. Look at this next comment. I'm convinced that she also lets TK sleep with her as part of the deal. What? Oh, this one's crazy. Look at this one. More than deserved based on what? What gave her the privilege of having creative control and only booking herself to win and not put over other talent? What did she do to deserve both championships she currently has? What tournaments did she win for a title shot opportunity? The answer is nothing. Zilch. Nada. She can't cut a promo worth shit, and anytime she opens her mouth, it's time to change the channel. Jesus Christ, y'all. Her marriage failed? Whoa. We're getting way too personal now. Her marriage failed because she's selfish. And would you honestly want to wake up besides that every day? You don't even know her like that, bro. No thanks. The only person Mercedes Mone cares about is herself, and it's pathetic that she continuously buries talent around her. Who has she buried? Who has she really buried? I want to know, who has she made less important? Because she hasn't done that to anybody that I know of. Mercedes has had a terrible run in AEW, Ever since she had a bitch fit and walked out of WWE, she went downhill in ring ability and on the mic. She is Ronda Rousey 2.0, a crybaby. She deserves all the hate. All the hate? We should ask Sammy Guevara, Mello, what he thinks about her. Did you just reference that time when Sammy said he wanted to R-word Sasha? Look at this. No, she's a quitter. That's it. Not hate. We all just know she is just a quitter. I think most of this hate comes from the fact that she left WWE. That's what it feels like. Oh, here we go. No talent deserves creative control. Look, I'm pretty sure during negotiations, she wanted to have her own writer and a certain amount of money. Tony Khan, at the end of the day, gives it to her. He's the boss. He determines who gets what. And he felt she was worth the high-paying contract, which I think is around $5 million a year. Don't know how many years. Could be 3 to 5. So we're talking around $15 million to $25 million overall. That's a lot of money. And creative control. He gave that to her. What is she supposed to say? No? Nah, I don't want it. She would be crazy. Absolutely insane to turn that down. He gave it to her. Don't be mad at her for saying yes. You want to get mad at Tony Khan for giving her creative control? Go for it. It's like Eric Bischoff giving Hulk Hogan creative control in WCW. Here's the difference. Hogan tried to use that position to hinder other talent from getting that world title. Sasha hasn't done that yet, but you can't get mad at her for something she hasn't done. Until she does that, until she uses her position to bury other female talent, who are we to get mad at her for taking advantage of an opportunity given to her? Again, I think people hate on someone like her for betting on herself and reaching success. But in this case, I think it's more than that. I think they're just mad that she left WWE. It continues. Look at this. I mean, she could have redeemed herself through in-ring work, but it's also sloppy as her promos. Clown face. She's writing her own material, it's garbage, and being in AEW has proven how much she was being propped up by WWE. Every bit of criticism is justified. Is it? Is it? It continues. But talentless hacks shouldn't be given high-paying contracts. Who are you to determine who should be given what? People were acting this way when she went to, I forgot whatever comic book convention it was. And she asked, her asking price was like $30,000. And people got mad at her like, how dare she ask for that much money? She ain't all that. Apparently she was, because guess what? They gave it to her. Fans came out to get autographs, and she made that money back like it was nothing. She made them their money back that they invested in her. So clearly she was worth it. Who are we to determine what Mercedes Mone's value is worth? She determines that. Now, companies, promotions can go, we don't feel like you're worth that, and not hire her. Cool. AEW, Tony Khan felt differently. So guess what? He wants to pay her $5 million. That is how much she's worth. We, as fans, are not in any position to determine whether someone is worth that much money or not. She is worth what she's getting paid. Period. And some of you can say that she's probably overpaid. You know what? Wrestlers in general, over the last few years, screw that, over the last few decades, have been criminally underpaid. You get these baseball, NBA, football players making, and I'm making sure I get this right, an average of $1.5 million a contract with off seasons. These wrestlers are wrestling 300 days a year with no off season, and they get paid less than half of that. So anytime I see a male or female wrestler getting paid good money, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, I'm gonna applaud them, because you don't get to see that. That's what they deserve when you're putting your body on the line on a consistent basis, and then you're expected to do media and of course, tell stories inside the ring and outside the ring and promos and all this extra stuff. You should be getting paid for your work. And for me, the amount of work these men and women do, they at least should be getting paid, especially if you're in WWE and AEW, $500K at minimum. So I'm not going to get mad at someone like Mercedes getting $5 million. If you say your value is $5 million and they're willing to pay you $5 million, then why not take the money? You set your standards, they're willing to meet it. Can't get mad at her for that. She brought everything on herself, from botching in the ring, because, of course, she's the only person, the only wrestler ever to mess up inside the ring. Even the greats have botched. But, okay, from botching inside the ring, treating fans like second-class citizens, when has she ever done that? I did see also someone say that she trolls fans. When? Where? Bad promos, her ego just seems to show a toxic person in general. And these are people who have never met her in real life, just basing their opinions off of what they see on television. Newsflash, who they are on television, 9 times out of 10 isn't who they are behind closed doors, for better or worse. So let me just give you my overall thoughts about all this hate. I'm not going to sit here and pretend Mercedes shouldn't be criticized for some things, because she's not perfect. I do think she has been exposed when it comes to her promo ability. In WWE, they knew how to coach her, they knew how to utilize her on the microphone to where it's not such a big issue. They didn't give her a lot of time on the microphone and instead gave her more time inside the ring. Why? Because she's great as an in-ring performer. That is her strength. That is where her charisma comes from, what she does inside the ring. And I would think with AEW, they would have capitalized on that from day one. But they brought her in March, that Dynamite in Boston, remember? AEW big business, showed up, big pop, everyone loved it. She would go 2 months with no wrestling. All she did was show up and talk. And we saw that when she's not coached, when she isn't protected in that realm, she's not that great. She's not terrible, but she has been exposed when it comes to promo ability. And I think AEW made a huge mistake not having her wrestle almost immediately. And they could have. You could have put her against Sky Blue at Dynasty. Get her inside the ring as soon as she showed up. And if the plan wasn't to start having her wrestle until Double or Nothing, then debut her closer to Double or Nothing. But I do think part of the reason why fans aren't that into her is because she gets way too much time away from the ring and talks too much. She is known for what she does inside the ring. Not from this. Accentuate her positives, hide her negatives. Get her a mouthpiece. Give her something to where she can focus on what she's great at, which is wrestling. So yeah, I will give fans that. I do think she's been just a tad bit overexposed when it comes to her promo ability. But outside of that, when she does wrestle, she's great. She has really good matches. People already talked about it. Willow Nightingale. Elevated Willow Nightingale. Do you honestly think Willow Nightingale would have even won that TBS championship if she wasn't involved with Mercedes Mone getting injured? If she didn't beat Mercedes Mone? No. She got elevated through Mercedes Mone, and therefore people love and respect her more. And then you got Stephanie McCurr. Do you honestly think people would be talking about Stephanie if she never had that match with Mercedes at Forbidden Door? Hell, do you honestly think the WWE would have hired her, would have snatched her up if she didn't have that awesome match with Mercedes Mone? No. Mercedes is bringing relevance to these female wrestlers because of her stature, because of her status, because she is a big name. And you know she is. She wouldn't be getting the big bucks. She wouldn't be getting the movie roles. She wouldn't be making the connections in Hollywood if she wasn't a big deal. Call it like it is. Be fair. She elevated Willow. She elevated Stephanie. Now her feud with Britt Baker, I'll admit, wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And that was due to Britt. Britt got herself suspended, and Mercedes had to work with what was given to her. Now, their match at All In wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the classic I was hoping for. Now, I don't know what they're doing in the future. They might go back to it. They might not. But keep this in mind, too. Mercedes Mone just got here. She just got here. She's only had a couple of matches. I don't know what you guys are expecting out of her in her first few months of wrestling. Like I said before, even though she showed up in March, she didn't start wrestling until May, which was a huge mistake. But now that she's wrestling, I think she's great. Also, keep this in mind. You got people saying, well, she books her own matches and she books herself to win. If she was as egotistical as a Hulk Hogan, do you think she would be holding the TBS championship? You don't think she would want the World Women's Championship? Okay, she has 2 belts. Who's to say she can't have 3 belts? Don't you think if she was as evil as you say she is, she wouldn't be just hijacking everything? The TV time and all the belts and winning all the matches? The fact that she went for the TBS championship should let you know what a team player she is. And then you got those who are mad that say she wins all the time. She's supposed to win. How can she put people over if she loses to everybody? That's not how this works. As a villain, her job is to get heat. You build her up, you build her up, you build her up, you build her up. And then you have a top babyface come in and beat her, and that gets them over. That's how it works. Speaking of villains, if she was egotistical, you would think she would try to leverage her position to make sure she looked like the biggest babyface ever, right? Because she would want fans to love her if she was as narcissistic and evil as you say she is. She didn't do that. Matter of fact, when the fans were booing her, she fed into the boos and turned heel because she understands that the best way to make money is to give the fans what they want. You want to hate me? Sweet, I'll be a heel. Who can hate someone like that? I don't understand it. I'm laying out all the great things that she's doing, and yet people still find a reason to hate her. And I think it stems from 2 things, like I said before. The fact that she's no longer that girl next door coming up, trying to achieve her dreams. When she was coming up, they loved her. But then she became successful. Now they hate her. That's unfortunate. The other side of that coin is she left the WWE. We have a lot of tribalists who believe this is my team and my team is the best. Nothing's better. And anyone that leaves that team, they instantly hate. When she was on their team, they loved her. But the moment she went to AEW, now all of a sudden, she was never great. She was never good inside the ring. She's overrated. Nah, be consistent. Love her for who she is. Love her whether she's in WWE or not. Because all that makes me think is you were never a fan from day one. You never cared about her. You don't care about the business. You don't care about these companies growing. You don't care about these fan base expanding and these wrestlers making as much money as possible. You don't give a shit about any of that. You just support the people that you like, and that's fine. Just say that. Don't pretend that you have the best interest for the business at heart. You really don't. Anyone that loves the wrestling business will appreciate what Mercedes Mone brings to it. I'm not saying that you have to love everything that she does. I don't love everything that she does. But at the same time, I'm not going to pretend I was never a fan. I've always been a fan, and it's not changing anytime soon. She is a great wrestler. That's what she's good at, wrestling. Her promos need some work. She's been overexposed in that department. I agree. But you know what? All of that can be taken care of. She could get better over time. Or she could hire someone to talk for her. All of this can be changed with proper booking. It's not that difficult. It's just sad to me that people are choosing to really hate this woman and they take it personally, bringing up her marriage. What does that have to do with anything? Again, I'm not saying fans can't not like Mercedes. Maybe she's just not your thing. And that's okay. I'm not hating on those fans. It's the unreasonable, the unnecessary hate that she gets that really bothers me. And that stems from people who are jealous. They're jealous of her success, and they hate the fact that she left their team. And I think that's sad. This is entertainment. This is wrestling. It's not that serious. But I'm at least happy that Mercedes is smart enough to utilize it as a heel. So, haters are going to hate as much as you want, because you are just making her more money and bringing more eyeballs to AEW. And we'll see over time if she does bring more value to AEW. We can't say she's a failure when she just got there and she started wrestling 4 months ago. Let's give her some time. Let's give her a few years. Over the next few years, if she hasn't really done much for that women's division, she hasn't elevated anybody, then yeah, you can make that statement. But let's give her a shot first. I don't believe she's going to hurt the division. I think she is going to elevate a lot of female wrestlers. She is going to bring a lot of notoriety to that division. It just takes time to see it take shape. It will happen. Trust me. And all the haters, even though she'll make the division better, will still find a reason to hate her. And there's nothing we can do about it but just acknowledge that it's crazy. Regardless, that's my thoughts. Give me your thoughts about this internet online hate for Mercedes. Do you believe it's gotten out of hand? Or do you think it's justified? If you think it's justified, please leave a comment down below explaining. Or if you agree with me, leave a comment down below too. Regardless, thank you for watching this video. As you file out, do all the YouTube things. Like the video, subscribe, and click that bell to catch all my content when it comes out. Wow, you're at it. Follow me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Donate using PayPal, Patreon, Cashapp, and Venmo. I love you all. Thank you for making me a part of your day. And as always, you are always welcomed right back here in Alyx's world. The place that is, was, and forever will be a safe space for wrestling fans like you. I will see you in the next video. Peace.